All right. Welcome, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Always.
So this one is super interesting. Lots of people have been requesting this,
Yeah.
And when you sent over that book, The Third Eye, Science, Spirituality, and Perception,
Yeah.
I knew we had to dive into this. The
Back
third eye
flow.
gave her.
Uh-huh.
It's like this concept that it bridges like the spiritual and the scientific.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere. You see it in like different cultures across history.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's so fascinating to me. It's not just one particular culture or time period, but it really does pop up repeatedly.
Right.
And it just kind of shows this human fascination with this idea of this third eye, this center of intuition.
It's this deeper perception.
Yeah.
Like, are we really just seeing with our two eyes?
Yeah.
Or is there
More to it.
more to it?
Yep.
More than meets the eye, right?
Right.
Okay, so for people who are like, wait, what even is this third eye thing? Let's break it down a bit.
Okay.
We've got some interesting stuff here. So like in Hinduism, for example, the third eye is often linked to this thing called the Ajna chakra.
Right. One of the energy centers.
Yeah, and it's located like right between your eyebrows.
Uh-huh.
And it's believed to be like this control center for your intuition, right?
Yep.
That gut feeling we sometimes get. Like,
Exactly.
would I do this? Should I not do this?
That deeper awareness of reality.
Yeah. And, many people believe that you can activate this Ajna chakra through practices like yoga and meditation.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a big part of that tradition.
Right. Like tapping into that deeper awareness.
Mhm.
But it's not just Hinduism.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right.
We see it in, Buddhist art, for example.
Mhm.
You often see the third eye depicted as a dot
Oh,
on the Buddha's forehead, and that symbolizes enlightenment, this inner vision that transcends kind of the physical world, right?
biblical. That's pretty trippy.
Yeah.
Like seeing beyond.
Right. It's this idea of seeing beyond what your physical eyes can see.
Okay, so we've got the spiritual side of things kind of laid out there.
Yeah.
But what about the science? I mean, is there like a physical, biological counterpart to this third eye?
Right. Could there be something in our brains?
Yeah, like a real thing.
And this is where it gets really interesting. And, you were mentioning out-of-body experiences and things like that.
Yeah, that's always fascinated me.
And our source here points to the pineal gland.
The pineal gland.
Yeah, it's this tiny gland located deep within the brain.
Okay.
And we know it has a function. It regulates our sleep cycles by producing melatonin.
Okay, yeah.
But some researchers believe it might have other functions as well.
Hold on. Are we saying that this little tiny gland could be the actual third eye?
Well, that's a theory. It's a pretty intriguing one, I have to say.
Right.
And some studies even suggest that the pineal gland might produce DMT.
Wait, DMT. Like the
psychedelic compound, yeah.
Whoa.
Which is known to induce these really intense mystical experiences,
Yeah.
altered states of consciousness, and sometimes even the feeling of leaving one's body.
Okay, so this is like the thing people experience on those like,
Yeah,
vision quests and stuff.
exactly. And some people believe that DMT could be that biological trigger for these kinds of experiences.
Whoa, that is mind-blowing.
Mm.
But how much evidence is there, really, for this whole DMT thing?
Well, it's still an area of ongoing research.
Okay.
And while the pineal gland's potential role in producing DMT is super fascinating, we definitely need more investigation.
Right.
But, even if the DMT connection is still being explored, there are other areas of neuroscience that are shedding light on how our brains might be generating these intuitive insights, those aha moments.
Ooh, I love those aha moments.
Yeah, the kind of things that people often associate with the third eye, right?
Yeah, so it's not all just like mystical experiences and psychedelics.
Yeah.
There's actually like stuff happening in the brain.
Yeah, there's a neurological basis for this.
Okay, so tell me more about that. Like what's going on in our brains?
So, for instance, you've got the prefrontal cortex and the default mode network.
Default mode network.
Yeah, think of it like your brain's daydreaming mode.
Ooh, I spent a lot of time there.
Me too, right. And these areas are involved in perception, imagination, flashes of insight.
Okay.
And some researchers actually suggest that practices like meditation and mindfulness, which a lot of spiritual traditions emphasize,
Right.
might actually be training these brain regions, enhancing our intuitive abilities.
It's like going to the gym for your intuition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're working those brain muscles.
I love that. That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got all these different cultures. Hinduism, Buddhism. What about ancient Egypt?
Mhm.
Weren't they big on all this like symbolism and spirituality?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And they had their own version of the third eye, the Eye of Horus.
Ooh, the Eye of Horus. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Right. And it represented protection, healing, wisdom.
Okay.
And interestingly, it was often linked symbolically to the pineal gland. So even though it was symbolic, this connection has fueled speculation about the pineal gland and its true potential for centuries.
That's so interesting. Like they were already thinking about this connection way back then.
Exactly. It's a concept that's been around for a long time.
Okay, so big question.
Yeah.
Is the third eye real or is it just a myth?
Well,
I mean, it kind of sounds like the answer depends on, your personal beliefs, your
it's
experiences.
your perspective. And I think our source does a good job of presenting both sides of the argument.
Okay, so lay it on me.
So, on one hand, you have countless reports from spiritual practitioners who describe these profound, even life-changing experiences linked to the third eye.
Right.
And the concept itself appears across so many cultures and time periods, like we talked about.
It's like maybe there's something to this, right?
Exactly. It hints at some deeper human truth.
Okay.
And then you also have the intriguing scientific research, like what we were talking about with the pineal glands and DMT,
Right.
even if it's still in its early stages.
So there's like some scientific backing, but not a ton.
Right. It's not conclusive yet.
Okay, so what about the other side?
So on the flip side, we don't have concrete scientific proof that the third eye grants supernatural abilities.
Right, like I can't suddenly like read minds just because I meditate, right?
Not necessarily, although who knows, maybe with enough practice.
Right. Maybe.
But, a lot of what people attribute to the third eye could have psychological or neurological explanations.
Okay, so like maybe it's not actually magic, it's just our brains doing their thing.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that different cultures interpret the third eye in different ways.
So there's not one like universal definition.
Right. It's a complex concept with lots of nuances.
Okay, so maybe the real question isn't like, is it real or not? But
But what can we learn from this?
yeah, what does the idea of the third eye teach us about ourselves?
I think that's the most important question.
Right. Like even if we can't definitively prove or disprove it.
Exactly. What does it tell us about the potential of human perception and consciousness?
Ooh, that's deep.
Right. Is there this deeper well of intuition and insight that we can all access?
A really, really good question to think about.
Yeah, and I encourage everyone listening to kind of ponder that.
Yeah. If you're intrigued by all this, like we are,
Definitely.
I mean, you should keep exploring. Research different spiritual traditions, dive into the science of the pineal gland, consciousness, maybe even try some medication and see what happens.
See what you discover.
Yeah, there's a whole universe and possibilities out there.
Absolutely.
And until next time, get ready for another deep dive.